So at a stoplight, traffic was what traffic was, so I didn't start at the very beginning. But again, only starting when I'm stopped. So one thing I want to add is here at these first few videos, most of them are going to be doing this drive. The drive from the old apartment, or what will soon be the old apartment, to the place where some stuff is going. And then the video is going from the old apartment to where we will now be living in a camper on our friend's property. So in the last video it was, who am I? And I shared some of the medical history, and there are going to be videos about it when things happen. And I said I was going to talk a little bit more about the COVID experience for me, and some of my beliefs and ideas about COVID. So I'm not going for monetization on videos, and I'm a quote nobody, so it's all good. Alright, in 2018 I suffered from a concussion, and that concussion definitely impacted something related to my memory and cognitive abilities, I'd say, at least for a while, long enough that the next thing had happened. I just seemed to slow down a bit, which actually isn't a bad thing. I am notorious for, quote, overthinking, overanalyzing, even getting into, analysis paralysis, as it is called. And so the concussion wasn't fun. And leading up to it were a number of events that made my blood sugar just, I turned into having diabetes, full-on slot type 2 diabetes. Well, August of last year, and so this is as much a story of Mike and I's move, or part of the experience of Mike and I moving up here. So we headed up to Tennessee in May of 2020. The timing was good. It was time. And so we came up here, and we were trying to get this gorgeous property over in Hartford, but that was already falling through. And so we started looking at places, and looking at places, and looking at places, and there's other ways we could have done things better, but we ended up finding a place we thought we liked. Well, we did like it. It was in Dandridge, and we were going to be closing on it August 10th. And we finally got the sale through for the house in Florida, and the closing on that was August 5th, 4th or 5th, one of those days. So we were excited. We thought, okay, this is, the timing was nice and everything was just coming together so perfectly. Until it wasn't. August 1st? August 2nd is when we learned we were not getting the house in Dandridge because it was listed as a 3-bedroom and it was only 2 bedrooms, and that changed the value of the place. Plus, there was some water damage we were going to have to deal with, and there was, just a handful of little things, but it was that classification thing that changed the value of the house. Oh, and it was weird because it was 2 lots, not 1. But in the end, it fell through. All of a sudden, we're closing on the house down there, and we don't have a place we're moving into. We've been staying with, we are Blue-Green members, timeshare members, and, debate the use and value of that at times. But it came down to saying, what are we going to do? And so I'm calling apartment complexes, and I'm calling trailer parks, and I'm calling, rental companies, and it's in the midst of COVID, and there is nothing. Except there's this new apartment complex that did have a couple places ready to move in. And so we moved into Kodak Crossing. And the day we're back, the 10th. So I've been doing fine for most. I mean, I was tired, exhausted, driving all night down to Florida and overdoing it. Well, August 10th at about 3 p.m., I'd say. 2:30, 3 p.m. My sense of smell and taste just disappeared. And my body, like, within the course of an hour and a half, I was exhausted. And I'm having to go and try and, get money in a bank and get all these things done to get us into an apartment. Julius, our beloved kitty cat, you'll see videos of Julius. I'll probably do an edited thing and, like, put all the pictures, because Julius is the star. Maybe he should work and get us some income. Videos of Julius could work. But essentially, August 10th is when I got COVID. And it was about 5 days. 5? The 10th was a Monday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday, count Monday. So Monday, and don't count because I still had to do some. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So for about 5 days, I did not move from the air mattress, or not even an air mattress, from the thing on the floor. And I hurt my entire body. Like, there wasn't a part of me. I swear my ears even hurt. I had so many different headaches. And I say headaches plural because it's like, there wasn't a time when my head didn't hurt, but it was like, I separated the notions of the headache. There was a headache behind my eyes. There was a headache literally in around the same area that I had the concussion. There was a headache at the back of my neck where I've had a swollen lymph node for over a decade. There was a headache near the ears where, especially on my left ear, where I also had COVID, got rid of it. I know that sounds weird. A lymph node behind and in front of my left ear that had been hard for over a decade. And COVID got rid of both of those. COVID did not get rid of the lymph node that's on the back of my neck, but it made it to where it got smaller. And now, like, when it decides to get hard and large, it doesn't get as large as it used to. So COVID helped that. I continued to have headaches going on probably till a little past my birthday, so over 10 days. I ended up getting these sharp, massive pains, basically where my appendix is. And when I say pain, I mean there wasn't a position that seemed to alleviate it completely. And then when I was beginning to feel better, because that pain didn't start till probably, 3-4 days in. My overall body pain was beginning to let up as this pain, right where the appendix is, just got worse and worse. And like, I would eat something, or I would sit, or if we went, when we were, we had to go take care of a couple things, so I had to be in the car, and you'd go over the slightest bump, and it was like agony. No health insurance. I have medical issues. I look things up. I get some NAC, and specifically I get fenugreek because I read some research studies in Germany and another European country where people with COVID and appendicitis, and so that took like another week or two to calm down. Once I got those, though, literally within 24 hours, I started feeling a little better from that fenugreek and the NAC. Taking additional sorry, just taking additional dandelion and milk thistle, reading the studies about in Austria, Bavaria, and parts of Germany where they were saying that people who had better gut biomes were doing better with COVID. So I started having, I couldn't taste any of the stuff. So things that previously were off-putting, like kombucha, I was having, 2-3 bottles of kombucha a day, eating sauerkraut till eating a ton of sauerkraut, having the kombucha, just trying to completely overstimulate that digestion while at the same time taking garlic and extra vitamin C and zinc, lots of zinc, and being blessed, incredibly blessed, that it was not in my lungs. I had the sinus part of it, the headaches, the massive headaches, but I never really developed much of a cough. I think, a couple days I may have had a small one, but it never really, sat into my lungs. And when the headaches were the worst part for me. And they overall, after, like I said, after my birthday, they started going away, but I still get them. They've been gone for a while now, which is good. My sense of taste started to come back, November-ish, I think. I'd get the first taste I had was vanilla. And as soon as I could taste vanilla, it was like, oh my god, this is the most amazing taste in the world. And so I was having vanilla creamer every day. By the way, I still like vanilla now, but I'm kind of tired of it at times. We went about 4 or 5 months where I just, not even that long. We went like the last, probably 3 or 4 months where we didn't get vanilla creamer because I was done with the vanilla for a little bit. Now, I called and still call COVID a blessing because it reset things in me. And there is a part of me that would love to go get blood work done. Would love to have had blood work done, 2 weeks before I got COVID, and then have blood work done a few weeks after now to see, because I know it changed my body because, I lost some weight, and no, not at the time of COVID, but months later. And I know COVID changed things. It made a couple of my hard lymph nodes go away. It helped in other ways as well. But it also hurt. And not just during, but since. In part, it is the fact that I still can't smell. I'll get whiffs of things once in a while. Like, there was one day, just yesterday, on my birthday, I briefly smelled the burning of brakes when we were going on the one to the one overlook. Veterans Overlook. And I briefly smelled burning brakes. And I was like, oh, I smell something. And then, within a few seconds, though, that smell went away. And it wasn't that it went away, because I asked Mike, and he's like, no, it's still really strong. I'm like, oh, man. I every once in a while, I will briefly get sense of things. Or if I put something up to my nose, I can smell it usually. Not always. But, for instance, with a lot of the herbs and the spices, put it right next to my nose, I can smell it. The other day, cooking lamb and feta and onions, I put my nose right down next to the pan, and I might have gotten a brief something, but in general, I couldn't smell it. And there are smells I really want to have back, and they sound weird to smell things burning, whether it's the nice smell of a campfire or something that is burning. I would really like to smell rotten food or food that's going bad, to be able to tell that sense. I don't know if I took it for granted, except I didn't really pay much attention to it, so I guess I did. I could smell I wouldn't say I had the nose that my sister Patty did when it came to cooking. And my sister Patty, she could tell just when the cookies were ready, when the water was about to boil. I know that sounds weird, but I swear she could do that. I swear my mom could do that as well. And so, definitely would like those scents back, to be able to smell those things. The other thing that COVID has done, long term, well, two other things. One is, as much as the concussion bothered me back in 2017, I will have times where I can't name something. I can't think of something. It's a word. It's, trying to describe, what was it? See, now I can't even think of what I was trying to describe. Yeah, there we go. Just random things. I'll be like trying to get Mike to grab a box, and I'm like, the box of things that, they do this, or, I can't think of words sometimes. I sat there one day, I was like, this has, been a year, back August 10th made 1 year, but just before that, when going through my courses, I was like, I think I remember most of what I need to say with lectures, and that just is so second nature to me. I haven't lost it, but then things that you would think would be second nature, like getting the iced tea, or picking up the mail, describing a vacuum cleaner. Really stupid stuff tends to be the things that I just have to pause, and I'm like, what's word? And then the length of time it can take to grasp some idea or something. Had now I can't think of it. Had a thing you can etch with it. You plug it in. Oh, we were just talking about this morning. And this is exactly it. And I'm not exaggerating right now. I'm not, When I start thinking about the fact that I have problems thinking, I end up having more problems thinking. So I try to ignore that fact as much as possible. And just, if I can't think of what I want to say, just don't say it at all. Mid-sentence, it's okay. Let it go. But it's noticeable at times. And a few months ago, it's gotten better. Because it would happen much more often in the past. And it would be so frustrating because I've always prided myself on my sense of memory, my sense of language, being able to communicate. Quote your $5, $10 words. And I don't use those as often these days. And part of it's lack of conversation, but part of it is I just can't always think of those words. So there's that cognitive aspect, and the fact that I'm a lot slower at things. Just overall, I feel like I have slowed down, which, again, it is a blessing, but at times it's frustrating. The ability for me to be much harder on myself has increased. Thinking I should be able to do something, or that I should be good at something, and I have to take a step back and be like, okay, I can think through this, but it's weird. It's hard to put into words these different components that have happened. And the third thing is the increased inflammation. Because I know my autoimmune issues have caused various things over the years, but and I know, oh yeah, you're over 40, these things are going to happen. Whatever. Ever since COVID, the ease of the ease that my body gets run down, and specifically the way I feel inflammation so much more has increased. And it's just sometimes I get tired, like my whole body. It doesn't hurt the way it did when I had COVID, but there are days where I will be sitting there and sitting on the bed or just sitting in the chair, and I don't have any energy. I hurt. Like, I can feel the inflammation, like my body is just been through the ringer. And there's the idea that, hey, this is all the stress. You've been moving, you were trying to get into property after property, and house after property, and house after house, and that is a stress. You've had things fall through, and the mass of student loans and all these things. And so there's that question of saying, is it just all this stress at once? But then we've been in constant stress since 2017, or that's when my sister died also. And then they're saying, oh well, you've been stressed since this date or that date, and I can go back to 2004. But it is a different feeling than in the past. So I don't know. I don't have health insurance, and we can't afford to pay out of pocket right now. Breaking my leg or my ankle or whatever happened back in May. Saw an acupuncturist, but about 8 visits. Helped tremendously, though I still have pain. But I don't know where everything is at. There's the one idea from the immunologist that, hey, if I had COVID, I may have antibodies. I mean, they don't know how long those antibodies last. I've read everything from 3 months to, well, there's still people who had COVID still have the antibodies. So, over a year. So I've had that. Wish to kind of be tested. But then that inability to, and also just this idea that I spent thousands of dollars. I didn't have health insurance until I got married. So I spent thousands of dollars on bone biopsies and this test and that test, and even with insurance that was supposed to be really good insurance that covered a lot of stuff. We're supposed to cover everything. Spent thousands learning, okay, I have hypogammaglobulinemia. Yes, I still have my liver enzymes. No, I do not have lupus as of now, but I have some of the markers, but not all of the markers for lupus. And I have some of the markers, but not all of the markers for MS. And, I have some of the levels that are associated with RA, but I don't have RA. I don't have MS. I don't have lupus. I do have the MTHR-F, which, I call the mother, or Monday, Thursday, Friday, MTHRO. But the other part of me just says live. You know, I think it's important to research your own body, but I think there's also a point where you can say, just live. And coming back to the antibody statement, either A, I got the antibodies and, you know, I have that protection, or B, I never developed antibodies because, oh yeah, hypogammaglobulinemia, low IgG, you give me a flu vaccine within about 3-4 weeks, I have no antibodies to the flu. You know, why get a flu vaccine if you're not going to maintain any degree of protection? Still never, before COVID, was supposed to have the test to see if I am protected or not protected with MMR. And, you know, I have a sister who had multiple MMR shots, but never gained protection. So, you know, there's that side of things. I don't know if I do or don't. I know that with the tetanus and diphtheria, I maintain protection there. Like that one, my body really maintains the protection from that. We did learn that. Tdap, tetanus, diphtheria, and yeah. But when I look now at the current vaccine, I signed up for an NHS study because if I'm going to get the vaccine, I want to be in some way under the protection of a doctor, or being watched by, studied. But then I never heard back from it, so can't really do the study that easily, which is sad. So am I going to get the vaccine? More of the jobs that I'm applying for require it. I kind of want to because I've read some research that implies that for people with long COVID, especially things like loss of smell and other things, that getting the vaccine can improve it. But then I read in the vaccine, and I have high blood pressure, I have low platelets, and, you know, if it in some way interferes with platelets, that's really not good for me. I don't want to risk anything that lowers my platelets. It's really a big question, and you know, with the NHS study, I'm ready to go with doing that because I feel like then they can see, and if something happens, there's some level of something. Where if I just go to the local CVS or whoever's getting the vaccine and get a vaccine, I don't know. So I'm not against the vaccine. Part of me wants the vaccine. Part of me wants to see if I currently have any antibodies. I mean, they do show that regardless of whether it would help with any long-term problems of COVID, which I'm beginning to take different herbs and supplements for, that if you had COVID and you get the vaccine, you have even a better outlook at things. It's better to have had COVID and get one of the vaccines than it is to have both shots of the vaccines. At least according to some studies. Other studies say something totally different. And that's the thing about COVID is there's so many studies to where it's almost like you can choose the outlook you want to have, and then you can find, and this is true with so many different things in life, you choose the outlook you want to have, and then you can find the supporting studies. And if you choose another perspective just for fun, you can find studies to support that as well. There's a lot that is still unknown. And I'm not denying either side. I think if you can get the vaccine, if you are a normal human being, please, please, please get it. If it is within your interest and ability. I am not an anti-vaxxer. I think things like MMR and Tdap and numerous vaccines that we have are incredibly important. I also think that there are vaccines that maybe we don't necessarily need, or at least we shouldn't require. COVID is interesting. Delta is proving interesting in regards to vaccinations, and Lambda also. I mean, you stay up on all these different forms, and I don't know. We shall see what happens. Man, I still can't think of the name of that tool. Oh. We are stopped. I can now look at the video and say you are looking at an apartment complex. Well, have a good afternoon, evening, morning, whatever it is you are having. And you're probably going to hear another video from me today simply because I'm doing multiple trips to